good.
Okay, welcome to Empowering Students, Valuable Tips on Financial Aid, Your Bill, and Academic Success. My name is Mallory Boyd, and I'm from the Enrollment Services Office.
And I'm Jake, and I'm from the Financial Assistance Office. So we kind of just want to get started with something that I'm sure a lot of you guys already know. Through our office, you are able to receive both merit-based and need-based aid. The main point that we really want to stress is that any of that need-based aid is based off of the FAFSA, whether or not it comes from the federal government or from the institution itself. It's based off the FAFSA and the numbers that come from the FAFSA. So with that being said, please make sure that your FAFSA is completed every year. This is an every year thing, so make sure that it gets done every year, and you will be all set to go and receive any of the need-based aid that you will be receiving.
And from Enrollment Services, our office handles registration and bursar, and we work closely with the Financial Aid Office.
So the first step as to where you guys are right now is you've received your financial aid package, and now what? What do I do with this now that I've received it? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and accept your aid on Cardinal Station. It's under your financial aid tile, and it's under the awards tab on your financial aid tile. So you'll go ahead and click accept and make sure that next to all of the awards, you're accepting them and you're clicking submit. And then once that is completed, they will then hit your bill, and then the aid will disperse on the disbursement date noted. And then once that happens, you'll also need to complete your entrance counseling and master promissory note. The entrance counseling is kind of like a module that I'm sure you're all familiar with at this point. It has a lot of information for you. It all the way from loan information, loan details, all the way to repayment plan after school is over. You'll go through it. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes, depending on how slow or fast you go through it. And yeah, you'll get that one done pretty quickly, and then you get a certificate of completion at the end. Same kind of goes with the master promissory note. This is like I don't know how else to describe it, but it's like a contract between you and the federal government, kind of just saying, I will pay the loans that I'm taking out back when repayment starts. So that's pretty much that. We offer federal work study here. Basically, that is it's a check. It's an allotment of funds from the federal government that students are allotted to earn throughout their time throughout the year. It's not a financial aid that comes out of your bill directly, but it comes in as a normal paycheck, and they're all being handled by the Academic and Career Success Office. So the OAs, the people in the red polos, will be able to tell you all about that good stuff and how Handshake works and all of that. So you'll be able to find a job that way and get your financial aid as well as federal work study going on. And lastly on this slide, we're talking about the Parent Plus loan a little bit. That's basically what a lot of students will use to bridge the gap between their total financial aid and the total balance. There's obviously there's going to be a gap in between those two. And so the Parent Plus loan is, there's a form on our website that you'll have to fill out, and it's a loan that is given to the student parent. It's not through the student directly, it's their parents that take out the loan, and that requires a parent to fill out the master promissory note as well. So you'll have a student MPN and a parent MPN. Here, this is kind of how you would go about doing it. These are some screenshots from studentaid.gov where you would fill out both the MPN and the entrance counseling. As you can see, I circled the two links there, so that's just kind of easier for you to see, get you familiar with it a little bit. And then in the next slide, there's this is kind of what it'll look like when you're going in to start the entrance counseling. You'll go through an undergraduate student or an MPN and go through it that way. So this is what it'll look like, just to kind of get you a little bit more familiar with what you're working with.
So we're going to transition and talk a little bit about FERPA. Federal law requires that CUA follow and abide by the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. This law prevents our university personnel from disclosing information to anyone but the student once the student turns the age of 18. Non-directory information can't be released to anyone without the student's written consent. The student can give that consent through the Educational Records Release Form, which can be found on the Enrollment Services website. And it can also be released through granting, and this is primarily financial aid or financial information, by granting a parent, guardian, grandparent, whoever the student needs to be able to see the financial end of the education, would be to be granting an authorized payer access through Cardinal Pay. Authorized payer access. So looking a little bit deeper into this, the preferred method of students granting access to account information, it allows us to verify that you are an authorized payer. It ensures that you will receive the monthly statements as well as the student, and it allows online access to the student through Cardinal Pay so that they can see account activity, the current balance, the last statement. Students need to actively grant access to an authorized payer through Cardinal Pay, which is accessed through the Cardinal Station or Cardinal students. We do have instructions on the Enrollment Services website, but it's pretty self-explanatory once a student goes into Cardinal Station or Cardinal Pay. They'll set a login name and a temporary password, and then a URL or a link is sent to the person that they're authorizing, and that person will go in and change their password. Students have the ability to authorize many people, their mom, their dad, their grandparent, brother, sister, whoever it is, a guardian, whoever it is who may need access to the account. Billing in general, the statements are issued once a month on the 15th of the month. If the 15th falls on a Saturday or a Sunday or a holiday, it will be then generated on the next business day. All statements are electronic and are only available through Cardinal Pay. We do not send out paper statements. Email notifications of when a new statement is generated will be sent to the student as well as any authorized payers. And once the statement is issued, it does not change, it's static. Any account activity that happens after the statement is issued will only appear in the current balance, but it will not appear in any of the other statement information. We have some payment options that are available. Payment for balance is not covered by any financial aid or scholarship, is due at the beginning of the semester. I always like to say the rule of thumb is it's the last Friday before classes begin. We can accept payments in person by check or money order. We can accept payments in the mail by check or money order. Online, e-check is the most efficient way to actually submit payment. As an authorized payer, you would be able to log on to Cardinal Pay and select e-check. You just need a routing number and an account number for a checking account, and there's no fee for that. There is a fee for credit and debit card usage, and it's 2.75%. It's a convenience fee. So I never recommend using credit cards or debit unless it's absolutely necessary. We can also receive wires. A lot of our students use Flywire, and we also have a traditional wire address. If you were to Google CUA Enrollment Services payment options, you would be able to access the banking information through that website. So balances that are not paid, obviously today is the last Friday before classes begin. And so today would be technically the day that the balance is due. Balances that are not paid by the due date are subject to late fees, registration holds, transcript holds, interest, and those things. We do have it's normally about 2 weeks through the end of add drop of a grace period when no late fees will be added. Many times students are still settling their financial aid, or they have requested funds from a 529 plan and they haven't arrived. So that gives us a little bumper time for us to be able to receive those payments. So it's not a time to panic, but after the add drop after the add drop period, late fees can accrue. This year, because we started earlier, that date is September 15th. So it actually is about 3.5 weeks away.
So we also offer, like I kind of mentioned earlier, we have our Parent Plus loans. That again is a loan that your parents will take out to aid your finances. If the Parent Plus loan is denied, it's based on a credit check through the federal government. The Department of Education will check the parent's credit. And if it's denied, the student is allowed to request additional unsubsidized loans. And you're also able to add an endorser to the Parent Plus loan, and you are able to appeal the credit check process as well. So you definitely have more than enough options with the Parent Plus loan to get that one situated for you. You're also eligible to go ahead and find any private loan. So this can be from any bank. We work with all banks, totally, like, I don't know the word. We work with all the banks, and basically what you'll do is you'll find the best interest rate, the best bank that works for you, and get your private loan. It works as if it was any other sort of personal loan that you would take out for anything else. So you're able to find those and get that situated as well.
We also offer a monthly payment plan. It is through a company called Tuition Management Systems, or we refer to it as TMS, and sometimes it's referred to as Afford.com. It's a 4 or 5 month plan that allows you to spread the payments out over those 4 or 5 month plan, 4 or 5 months. And TMS does not have access to your account, so you will set the budget based on the balance that you owe. If you owe $10,000 and you only set your budget at $8,000, that $2,000 that's not in the budget is subject to late fees and hold. So you're going to want your budget to actually equal your balance. Payments for TMS are due on the 1st of each month. And when you're looking at the CUA statement, the statement auto deducts any remaining payment plan payments from the balance on the account, regardless of whether the payments have been made yet. So that sometimes gets a little confusing. But if you are enrolled in a payment plan and you are looking at your statement and it still says you have a balance, you may want to get in touch with us so we can go over your statement with you and let you know whether your balance or your budget with TMS is appropriate or needs to be increased or decreased. We also offer a tuition insurance plan. It's through a private company, and it supplements the CUA refund policy. You are not assured a refund through the university's policy. So this supplements it, and I'm going to give you an example of, you'll see that the tuition refund policy for the university starts with the 100% through the add drop, and 80% through week 3, and 50% through week 4. And after week 4, if you were to drop all of your classes for reasons of illness or mental health issues, you would receive 0 refund on the tuition and room and board. If you were to purchase the optional tuition insurance plan, you would be supplemented starting in week 4 with 25%, so that the total would be 75%. After week 4, the insurance fund or the insurance plan would refund 75% of the room and board if you were to leave the university. This is a little worry, but I want to go through it because it's kind of important. Again, the tuition insurance is completely optional. The costs covered by the tuition insurance plan include tuition, room and board, and mandatory fees for the spring and the fall. Medical insurance, things like laboratory fees and other optional fees are not covered by the plan. Again, it is optional to participate in this, but if you do not participate in the tuition refund plan, any refund is limited to the amounts allowed only by the university's policy. The cost for undergraduates on campus is $646 for the fall and the spring, and for off campus, it's $488 for the spring and the fall. One little sticking point about this is if you have not already enrolled and you wish to enroll, you need to do this before the first day of class. The enrollment information can be found at www.collegerefund.com. Another insurance that we offer is the student health insurance. If you are already covered by an existing plan, you should actually waive this insurance, and you can do that at studentinsurance.cua.edu. All students are required to have insurance, so it's either going to be an existing plan or the CUA plan, or if you were able to purchase a plan quickly, you could do it that way too. The deadline to waive the insurance is September 14th. If you have a difficulty getting the waiver to go through, you can contact them through this phone number and email. So let's go over a little bit of information about Cardinal Pay. Cardinal Pay is the website for viewing monthly statements and to make online payments. As an authorized payer, you will have received this link, which I always look up Quick Pay. That's an easy way to remember it. But you'll want to bookmark that, because at the beginning of each semester, theoretically, you're going to be making a payment. Students actually can access Cardinal Pay through Cardinal Students through the student account tile. This is what it'll look like, just to give you a little bit of an intro. If you haven't seen it yet, you're going to want to talk to your student about making you an authorized payer and getting online so that you can look and have a look at the billing statement. I wanted to go over this a little bit. This is once you are in there and you click on view and pay accounts, you'll come to something that looks like this page. This is our test student. And she currently has a balance, a current balance, and a statement balance that are the same, but sometimes these will not be the same. And that gets confusing for a lot of people. The statement balance is the balance when the statement is generated. Remember, the statement is static, so it will not change until the next statement is generated. The current balance takes into account any activity on the account that's happened since the last statement. So if you made a payment of $10,000, the current balance for this student would go down to $22,001. So it will vary that way. Another thing that's a little trick about looking at your statement is that you can click on that icon that I've highlighted. It's a little PDF icon. It makes the statement a little bit easier to read for a lot of people. So when you click on that, you'll receive a PDF. You can print it out and it will be just like getting one in the mail. The amount due, this invoice, that is the last thing on the right-hand column. It is actually the ending balance of the statement date minus the pending financial aid and the budgeted payment plan. So that, again, is something that you'll want to keep an eye on if you have a payment plan, if you have financial aid. If it looks odd to you and perhaps you haven't accepted your financial aid, or you know, if you don't have a payment plan, it would not include that. But that's what is owed to CUA.
All right, so now that we've kind of gotten through what you're going to be handling for these up 2 semesters. Now let's look a little bit into the future. So after your first 2 semesters, when you haven't had enough and you're like, I just want to keep taking classes and keep having more fun every single semester. So you have your summer semester, and basically what you're going to do is you're actually not eligible for your normal scholarships, like the merit-based scholarships. But what you are eligible for is federal direct loans through the federal government, as well as the private and commercial loans and the Parent Plus loans for the summer. So you have to be in at least 6 credits in order to be eligible for these loans. And you're also ineligible if you've already taken out the maximum of the allotted amount that you're allowed to take out for the year. So summer financial aid, you got to be in 6 credits. You can only take out the loans, and aggregate limits cannot be reached before the summer starts.
And summers are completely optional. You don't have to be enrolled for summer.
So I like to always think that it's better to kind of get ahead of the game than be behind the 8 ball. You want to make sure that you're getting your financial aid done as soon as possible. This way, if there's any issues or any problems, you can contact us. If you contact us in October, we can definitely be able to help you out. But if you kind of come to us in May and say, hey, I'm looking to start in the summer, or I'm looking to start in the fall and whatever, there's not as much we can do because it's so late into the game. So you're eligible to start the next FAFSA starting October 1st. I know that it's coming up. I'm just starting this year. Why would I want to do a FAFSA for next year? Just to help you get ahead of the game and make sure that you know exactly what's going on and plan ahead. If you have any questions, give us a call. We'll be more than happy to help you out and help you guys get situated for the upcoming years and get ahead of the game. So here's a little bit about eligibility. So basically, like I had mentioned earlier, you have those merit-based scholarships that you were granted when you were admitted to the university. You have to have at least 12 credit hours in order to receive those merit-based aid. They are eligible for 4 years or 8 semesters, and they're not eligible for the summer, like I mentioned earlier. You have to be enrolled in at least 12 credits for the merit-based aid, and you have to be enrolled at least 6 credits for federal aid. So if you're above that 12 credit threshold, you're good for both, and you'll be able to receive your full financial aid package. I touched on need-based aid a little bit at the beginning. Your need-based aid is reassessed annually, and that's with the FAFSA numbers. So every year you'll fill out the FAFSA, those numbers come back, and that's where your need comes from. Any need-based grant, it's based on the FAFSA for that year. So if you get a need-based grant one year, and let's say you make $50,000 one year, and then you move and you get a new job and you're making $150,000 the next year, woohoo! But your aid is going to change. So just be aware of that and know that these do change and fluctuate. So it's not a guarantee that you get whatever you get one year, you're going to get the second year. Also, for example, the COVID-19 virus kind of hit and had a lot of extenuating circumstances for people. If your financial snapshot that is taken on the time of your 2019 tax return, which will be used on your FAFSA for this upcoming year, for next year, if that isn't really it's not really how it looks now, you're able to submit an appeal and show us a more current snapshot of your financial portfolio and just what you guys have going on in that way. And the appeals will be able to kind of make adjustments based on that. And then lastly, we have satisfactory academic progress. It's basically we just want to make sure that you are maintaining your academic progress throughout your time here. You need to maintain a GPA of a 2.0 and complete 67% of your coursework in order to maintain your financial aid. The 67% is a little bit more tricky. Think about it like this. If you, let's say you're taking 4 classes and you drop one of them, then you're at 75% of your coursework, you're all set. If you drop 2, then you're down to 50% and you're out of luck and you're gonna lose your aid. So what we like to say is please, 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 before you drop any classes, make sure to give us a call and just say, hey, if I drop this class, is anything going to change on my aid? And we'll be able to help you out and kind of explain exactly what's going to happen, because the last thing you want is to drop a class and think you're home free, and then you take a look at your bill and there's a $10,000 charge because we had to drop your aid down. So just make sure you give us a call and we'll be able to help you out and get you in the on the right path. All right, this is kind of a little bit of what I've said earlier. Just make sure that FAFSA gets completed October 1st. I know I've said it 100 times. Once that FAFSA is in, Then you're going to receive your financial aid package for next year in the summer, like late June, early July. This is because we need your grades from the spring, the previous spring, in order to create the financial aid package for the upcoming year. I know I mentioned that the 2019 tax return income and all of that information will be used on the next FAFSA. So you'll be able to do it that way. And verification is a pretty simple process. Sometimes if there's any sort of inconsistency on your FAFSA that doesn't match up with your tax return or anything like that, you will get a letter from us. You'll get an email from us saying, hey, we need you to fill out these documents in order to kind of get through this verification process. You get those forms back to us. We'll kind of get it all straightened away and you'll be good to go. Just keep a lookout for that. It'll also be on your student's Cardinal station. And the last thing is the CSS profile is only needed your first year. So you've all filled it out for this year, which is great. You do not have to fill it out again. I know that it's a very in-depth process. So make sure that, I don't want you to fill it out again and waste that time. So make sure that you're all good and you don't have to fill that out again.
So we wanted to give you some important dates, just because it helps to kind of know where you need to have things ready to go. So today is actually the due date to submit payments. Again, we do have that grace period. So if you don't submit a payment today, it's not the end of the world. You've got until September 15th when late fees will be added. September 4th is the end of the add drop. And if you were to drop all of your classes for whatever reasons, we hope you don't do that, but just in case, you know that you would receive 100% refund up until that date. After that, the university refund policy goes into effect. Tuesday, September 15th, again, late fees will be added. Sunday, October 1st is the first day you can start the FAFSA for next year. Wednesday, November 25th. I added this one because today, this semester is a little bit different. Students will leave for Thanksgiving recess and they will not come back to campus. We wanted to limit the amount of traveling that students needed to do, coming back and forth. So on Monday, November 30th, classes will resume online only. And then on Monday, December 7th, the final exams begin. They'll end on Saturday, December 12th. And one last little point is I added our billing calendar, which is really helpful to kind of understand when late fees and interest will be added to accounts. This is the address for the financial aid office. We work in the same building, one floor apart, and we work really closely. So many times students will come in and see us, or they'll email us and we will go back and forth and refer them to financial aid. This is the address for enrollment services and the contact information. Both of our offices are open at this time, so students can come by if they'd like to talk in person. We obviously encourage them to reach out, whether they feel comfortable in person or emailing or giving us a call. It's much better that we help you out instead of students being confused or parents being confused. So we'd like to field any of your questions at this point. If you have any, you can type them into the chat box. We'll give you a few minutes to think of what you need to ask. I'm going to just scroll back so that if you wanted these contact information, if you wanted to write any of it down, you can do that. These are being taped, so you can go back and review the session as well. That's Enrollment Services. This is the Office of Financial Aid, Financial Assistance. If you don't have any questions, thanks for attending with us today. Again, feel free throughout the semester to contact either office. We're happy to help, and hope you enjoy the rest of the sessions.
Have an awesome time and an awesome year, guys.
Yep.